It's all about the kids and what they tell you. I remember very clearly with this little girl, and she came like, "Oh, there's something wrong with my brain, and I heard you're the brain doctor, and you're going to fix me, and you're really good at it." And I said, "There's nothing wrong with your brain. You are going to do great." And they come in with their head hung low, and we get the results that show. To me, yes, I can show results on standardized tests and talk to parents about that. But the best measure is when that individual has their shoulders back and their head up high, and they believe in themselves, and they know now that they have the tools that they can do that. As a young girl in high school, one of my friends, his brother could not speak or hear, and I learned sign language I wanted to try and help him, and I developed a friendship with him. And I decided at that point, well, maybe I want to go into communication and communication disorders. And when I went to school, he was actually at the state school, and continued that friendship and saw that I could, perhaps help people like him to do better. And then I saw an entire world available as I went on to graduate school and became interested in head trauma, and worked in head trauma rehabilitation for many, many years at the Houston Medical Center, and found that, the brain is an amazing organ, and that, there's so much that we can do if, individuals who had these severe brain injuries could in fact, learn again to, understand and speak and read and write. And when I had our children, I really wanted for them to be raised in kind of have the same kind of life that I had, very peaceful life, a life that living along the Texas-Mexico border, that would be, a bilingual, bicultural life. And so when I moved to Brownsville, found that, the medical center kept me on, to work in head trauma. And I would see, these folks that were maybe needing outpatient services, but then decided to focus on early childhood, and found that there was too many children that had much more than just speech and language disorders, and that there were really these reading issues. And so I spent 2 years flying back and forth to Houston to get a specialty in these reading disorders at the Nyhouse Education Center with dyslexia, and realized that there were too many children getting referred to special education, which in fact we could probably prevent some of that. And in so doing, had the opportunity to become a certified academic language therapist, and begin to work with the children. But more importantly, worked with Norma Garza and a group of 5 of us that started a foundation that was called Brownsville Reads. And the idea was to work and prevent reading disabilities and have a 5-year plan that every, child could learn to read, before they entered 3rd grade. By 2nd grade, we would say 3rd grade is late because that's reading to learn. And that's when also we got, we closed down the city for the first one, and had the National Institute of Child Health and Human Development director come down for, these issues, Dr. Reed Lyon. And our teachers were asking, but what about the bilingual student? And so he went back and he got $30 million appropriated from Congress to start the Biliteracy Research Network. And back then is when we started becoming the laboratory for really knowing about what to do with children who were multilingual, who, must become proficient, because to work down here, you have to be proficient in 2 languages. And what can we do about that? And then hence began my partnership with the University of Houston, and getting to do that work in learning about early literacy amongst diverse learners, and got to develop assessment, screeners, treatments, interventions, and continue the work about, what do teachers need to be able to implement. Well, it was at the very same time. It was a woman that her name Claudia De Leon that said, I need you to help me do what you do for my child. I need it for my students who are coming very, not prepared. And so we began to work with her classroom. And just by the end of the school year, the superintendent telephoned me to say that that group of students outperformed all students in the entire school district in every area of their achievement testing in the school district by 2 grade levels, just really did very well. And then I wanted to keep those kids together to see how they would do in English, and if there would be some ways in which we could make that transition to English, which then the next year we did. And there was actually 5 students in there with just, learning disabilities, but even those students were able to achieve high levels of literacy in their native language. And in the next year, we're beginning to really get some good results in the English language. And so then the school district decided, that they wanted to do that kind of prevention model. And we began that. We also began a partnership with the Nyhouse Education Center so that all our teachers would be well prepared to deliver. We, won a national award, the Broad Award. $1 million came to us. We used that for scholarships for the children. And then the Houston Independent School District wanted to do the same work. So we went up there, we worked with the Houston Independent School District, and 2 years later, they won the award. But the beautiful part about it too has been that I've worked very closely with the state of Texas, and UT Austin had the contract and how to develop really great professional development, such as the Texas Reading Academies. And I've been, involved with that too. And I've had the pleasure of looking at, the biliteracy framework from there to really help and be an advisor on, what needs to be included. And today, teachers in Texas continue. There's an initiative right now for every K-3 teacher to take that Texas reading and their coaches and administrators. And this time it's with portfolios and demonstrating that you can do this kind of work. And because that's what it takes: mentorship, practice. Teaching is really, it's a science. Like Louis Somoza would say, teaching reading is rocket science, but it's also it's really being masterful and art, being like an artist, knowing how you're going to get and engage your students and how you're going to scaffold that instruction. And so much goes into teaching. And it really is a profession that you need a lot of practice, and you learn from your students. And another memory was this young girl that very difficult to work with. And, I always say it just takes one act of kindness. And so, when children are very challenging, I get those kids. And so, but I found out what kind of books she liked. And I had a friend that was an author in the particular genre that she liked. And I had him, kind of join in one day. And it was just that act of kindness that turned her around. And finally, at the, kind of as we're working, she goes, you know what? I just want to share something with you. And I go, yes, what would you like to share? She goes, everything that you have taught me in reading. And she goes, I'm starting to use all of this knowledge in my schoolwork in every single subject. And I am now using this strategy and that strategy. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the girl that was like always grumpy and nobody wanted to work with. And she's over here telling me of how she's generalized and using everything I said. That was like, to me, one of the best moments. And currently the work that I'm doing is really about one of the projects is called a model demonstration for dyslexia. And it's really working with, we're in 3 school districts, and we're working with really kind of a multifaceted approach about how we can, and really that multifaceted, it must include, here, yes, administrators, coaches, teachers, but let's extend out to the parents who could be our partners. And it's really understanding, how can we make sure that the general classroom instruction really has the best evidence-based practices in that instruction, so that the children, when they're identified at risk or when they're identified with dyslexia, they truly will have were afforded we can be assured that they were afforded all the opportunities. And as we work, it's been really kind of fun working with, creating what we call a network improvement community, a NIC, and working with, the leadership teams and helping them to help their staff and helping the staff. It's just kind of multifaceted, and it's really about the implementation and what does it take to scale up the work and to have success, not, in many areas, and especially in areas that are underserved and have diverse populations. So what I'd like to say is that you have an advantage when you speak more than one language, and you will have a tremendous advantage when you become truly biliterate. And that although in the beginning might seem like a rocky road, in the end, you can achieve this with the right kind of instruction. And this will make you, it's a part of who you are. But also, as you go out into the workforce, like for me, why do I get to do what I do? Because of my gift of biliteracy. And because of that, I've been able to do this wonderful work. And you will get to follow your passion, and you will get to do the work. And because you're biliterate, you will have many more opportunities afforded to you.